case you don't know, if you couldn't already tell by the title, I'm kind of a loner. And, every once in a while, I make a video on YouTube about being a loner. And in general, this little endeavor of mine has been relatively well received. Of course, there's the occasional troll or whatever, but, that's to be expected. Comes with the territory. But, for the most part, the people that come and watch my videos and, comment and stuff, they seem to be mostly nice. One thing that happens from time to time is that somebody might recognize my accent or, something that I mentioned in the video as being from Philadelphia. And hey, I've been eating cheesesteaks and watching people be bludgeoned to death over football games for my entire life. I'm as Philly as they come. But one thing that people do when they find out that I'm from Philly is they ask me where in the area that I'm from. And when I tell them where I am, it always sort of ends up being that they live sort of a couple counties over. It's sort of in the region, but, it's not really close. And I mean, given the size of my YouTube channel, which at the moment I have close to 1,000 subscribers and 80,000 views, that's pretty cool, hey, somebody close is watching my videos. Neat. I mean, it's a little unnerving because, what if a family member finds this channel where I'm sort of revealing all of this super personal stuff that they have no idea is true about me? Which, if they do, hi, family member, please don't let this change your opinion of me. I'm still exactly the same guy that I've always been. None of this changes anything, I swear. Yeah, but in one of my videos, I mentioned that I used to work at a place called Giant, which is a supermarket local to the Philadelphia area. And about 2 months ago, I got a comment from a girl saying that she also works at Giant. And she asked me if I lived in the area, and of course I do. But when we told each other where we live, it wasn't just in the same region, it wasn't a couple counties over. She literally lived a 5-minute drive away from me. And so after we found out that we lived fairly close, I gave her my Discord info, and we started talking on there. And on Discord, she was saying that she really likes my videos, which that's always nice to hear. We talked about dumb stuff, like how there's a sweet spot for cooking bacon where it's sort of crispy and chewy at the same time. She showed me her cartoons and stuff that she draws, and she's actually very talented at what she does. I hope she keeps doing it. But she eventually brought up the idea of us meeting up. She brought that up pretty quickly after we started talking originally, but I was kind of hesitant about that because, what if this is some kind of elaborate trolling attempt or something? Plus, I think it's a better idea to, not just go into meeting people that you meet online, blindly. And so after a little while of talking on Discord, we eventually agreed to meet in person. And, we decided that we were just going to, cruise around in my car or whatever and just talk. When I pulled up to her house, she didn't come out immediately. And I assumed that she was just, still doing her makeup or something. So I just kind of waited there in my car for a bit. But when she eventually did come out, she seemed really nervous. And when she got in the car with me, she said that the reason why she was so nervous was because she was sort of afraid to come out and meet me. And look, hey, it's flattering that somebody would think enough of me to sort of be nervous about meeting me, but I'm not Johnny Depp. I have a YouTube channel with 1,000 subscribers. I'm not that big of a deal. Yeah, but the nerves didn't last very long, and after about 5 minutes, we sort of just eventually settled into talking, and everything was fine. It's kind of funny because your mental image of yourself tends to stick to the story of your past self. Even if you've done a lot of work on yourself. For me, aside from just doing YouTube videos, I've been keeping a personal audio journal for about 10 years as just sort of a way of practicing speaking and articulating my thoughts and stuff. And when you do that, you're always sort of listening to yourself talk and scrutinizing what you're saying and adjusting for inflation. But it's weird, you're never really aware of how much progress you're making on that kind of thing until you sort of test it out somewhere. Because there's no better indicator of your skill for communicating your thoughts effectively other than sort of speaking to another live human being. It's not like you can flex your speaking ability in front of a mirror, I guess you can do that, but you know what I mean. And so when I was talking to the girl on the date, it kind of felt like lifting a can that you assume is full, but when you pick it up, you feel like you have superhuman strength for a split second because it was actually empty. Oh, okay, this is way easier than I thought it was going to be. In my head, I'm still sort of assuming that I'm middle school Adam, who just assumes that everybody is annoyed by him or just wants to pretend to be his friend to play his Nintendo 64. His ghost is still sort of inhabiting me, and so the whole thing kind of felt like I was about to turn on a light and, expecting to see a monster, fully expecting a fight. But when you turn the light on, it's it's just your bedroom, dude. Like, this is so not what I thought it was going to be. It's exactly what I hope the experience of death ends up being like. Yeah, but there was no, like, awkward silences, and, like, we had no problem, like, smoothly communicating with each other. Like, I don't even know that I can claim that I have social anxiety anymore. Honestly, like, I'm not even sure that I ever had it to begin with, because, like, I only ever say that I have social anxiety because, like, I can't think of another way to describe how in the world I ended up in this situation. So I sort of naturally assume that I have it because, like, how could I be here if I didn't? Or maybe I do have it. Like the thought of, like, going out somewhere to, like, a party or, like, meeting new people. Like, it does kind of intimidate me, but, maybe everybody feels that way. Maybe I was able to talk so well to the girl, because she already kind of knew who I was, so I didn't feel any pressure to sort of, like, make a good first impression. It's really hard to know, just sitting here by myself in the garage, like, what the problem is exactly. At one point during our messaging on Discord, she said that she wanted to come over and see my garage, the room I'm sitting in now. And so the first thing I did was I brought her here, and, she just kind of, like, looked around for a second. She said that it looks a lot smaller in here than it does in the videos. That's always the case, though. Like, anytime I ever see something from, like, a movie in person, like, I'm always astonished by how small the thing is. Like, what is this? This is so tiny compared to how I visualized it in my imagination. Yeah, but, after that, we were just sort of, like, driving around, sort of talking. She was telling me that she wants to get her driver's license soon. Don't worry, she's of age. Yeah, but after she told me that, I was like, so do you want to drive around the parking lot for a bit? And so, we did that. Like, we went to the elementary school she went to as a kid, and I let her in the driver's seat, and I was going to let her push the gas pedal, but she seemed like she was having a hard time, like, finding the pedals. So I just told her to keep her foot on the brake and, like, let the car roll. Because, like, I didn't want her to crash into the side of the school or something. And, we did sort of like a little circle in the parking lot, and it was a slow sort of rolling circle, but, it was fun. And, after that, we sort of drove around a bit more. We talked a bit more. We were probably driving around for a good 2 or 3 hours. And in general, like, the date was a good time. And, I drove her home, and then, it was over. But, as I sort of reflected on the experience afterward, if I'm really being honest with myself, something kind of felt off, And I want to say this has nothing to do with her. Like, she's a very sweet girl, and, she's very cute. But I just kind of realized that there were parts of myself that, like, should have been present that just weren't present. Like, the best way that I can describe it is like I'm sort of performing on camera talking to you now. Like, this might feel real, and in a lot of ways, like, what I'm communicating here is not fake at all. But the truth is, like, I'm sitting in a garage alone, sort of talking to a robotic eye with a bright light shining in my face. Like, this is very much a performance. And when I really reflect on it, like, what I was doing in the car with the girl, I'm afraid to say it kind of felt like what I'm doing right now. Like, I felt sort of disconnected from the experience in some way. It's possible that I was just on guard because, it's my first time meeting someone in person, and, like, you want to present your best self in the first meeting, and, maybe a bit of performance is required for that kind of thing. Maybe there's a bit of a disconnect because, granted, there is a bit of an age gap between us. Like, I don't know exactly what the issue was. Like, I really wouldn't know how this kind of thing is supposed to feel since, like, in general, since I was about 13, I've had very minimal experience interacting with other people. Like, I've kind of just been hanging out in my room since then. And so maybe this is all normal and I'm just, like, overthinking it. But I don't know. Extended isolation, like, it really does a number on you. Like, at some point, it kind of becomes like being stranded at sea on a raft. Like, you can be resourceful for a while and survive. Like, you can self-improve, do jumping jacks, learn Italian on the internet. But at the end of the day, like, you're either going to have to get, like, really lucky and, like, have an oil tanker find you, or stumble on the land, or, just have someone come out and rescue you. Like, people don't really understand that about isolation. Like, from their perspective, they think, like, well, why don't you just leave the room and go be social? But you've either just, like, totally forgotten how to do that, or you just never, like, truly knew how to do it to begin with. It's not like you're looking at land in the distance and you're sort of, like, too afraid to go sail your raft over to it, or, you're just procrastinating on it or something. It's like literally you can't even see where the land is. But hey, I got lucky. Somebody found me and invited me out. The oil tanker spotted me. But I kind of feel like my problem might be deeper than that. There's sort of like horrifying things that some cultures do for no reason at all. Like crushing the bones of the feet in their children so that they fit into like tiny shoes, or, forcing the girls to drink milk to the point of throwing up so that they gain weight. Because I guess like the men in their culture find that sort of thing attractive. And, maybe there's some things that we do to infant children here in the U.S. that kind of fit into that category. But it's not just our physical bodies that we do these like disfiguring things to. It's also our minds, Like there's sort of feelings and instincts that are like naturally wired into us that just for whatever reason we sort of like emotionally circumcise out of us when we're too young to have a say in it. Like there's sort of like this culturally enforced emotional trauma that's inflicted on people when they're young so that they sort of like feel shame about things that they wouldn't normally feel shame about. I think one of the things that we sort of like emotionally circumcise out of ourselves here in our culture is like feeling sad about like a bad situation that you're in. You know, like the whole sort of like tears aren't going to save you. You know, stop crying and do something about it. And like, you know, I want to say like there are absolutely situations in life that, you know, being sad isn't going to save you. Like, I don't know, maybe you're trapped under a rock and the only way to get out is for you to like cut your leg off with an axe. Like, hey, you know, better get chopping, buddy, because nobody's coming. Like, I can feel sympathy for somebody in that situation, but if I'm not like physically there to help them, or even aware that they're trapped, like the only person that can help them is themselves. Yeah, but I'm not talking about situations like that. I think more specifically what I'm talking about is sort of people in like a forever alone type of situation where they're like, you know, they're socially isolated, you know, they don't have any friends or whatever. You know, these people aren't hidden necessarily. You know, more often than not, like they have like family and other people that are aware that they're in these situations. You know, somebody could easily be like, hey man, you want to go out and see a movie or something? But the normal cultural response to this type of thing is not to take these people out to the movies. We sort of tell them things like, hey, you shouldn't be dependent on other people for your happiness. You need to love yourself before others will. You should learn to find contentment in your own company. Or, you know, we sort of like flat out accuse them of not trying hard enough. Like we sort of put the onus on the kid sitting alone at the lunch table to either like interject himself onto another group of kids or, you know, sort of just like find a way to be happy sitting by himself. And, you know, probably over the past 20 or so years that I've been isolated, I feel like I've kind of internalized that like be content with yourself thing to the point where like I'm kind of content with myself like in a way that I don't think most people are. Because, you know, maybe I was being bullied at school and maybe I was being bullied at home too. And at some point, like, I think I must have assumed that people just didn't want to associate with me because, like, why in the hell would I assume that? And so I just sort of learned to be content with my own company. Like, I always hear people talking about things like being touch-starved or, like, you know, needing affection or, like, you know, being thirsty. But I think I've always sort of disregarded those feelings and, like, buried them because I grew up being taught that needing things from other people is entitlement. That I shouldn't need or expect anything from anyone except for myself. And, you know, if people are going to bully me and exclude me, then, you know, screw you people. I don't need any of you. Seriously, like, you know, you give me a gaming laptop with the internet and, like, threw me in solitary confinement for 10 years, you know, it'd probably be rough, but, like, I think I'd make it out in one piece. Whereas, like, I don't think most people would last more than 3 weeks in a situation like that. But, you know, like, I kind of think in the process of becoming content with my own company, my ability to connect with other human beings has just become completely fucking disfigured because like I've just buried my desire to connect with others to the point where like I just don't even really feel it anymore. Like, yeah, I'm completely self-reliant emotionally, and you know, people might think that's a good thing, but like I don't think that it is, because like I've just ended up in this point in life where I don't feel much of anything anymore. You know, outside of like the fantasies in my head or like my own goals about things or like, you know, watching videos on YouTube. It's like I'm so sort of caught up in my own little world that just like I can't even feel things about other people in real life anymore. Like the only time that I ever feel things about other people is if I'm watching them through YouTube or like, you know, they're a character in an anime or something. Like there are YouTubers and stuff that I care about, but just not real life people. Like I think I sometimes present myself on here as if I don't care about this whole sort of situation that I'm in. And the truth is like, I don't care that I'm a virgin at 35, and like I'm not having a mental breakdown from like having nothing to do all the time because I have no friends, but I don't think it's because I'm like Buddha in disguise. Like, you know, a part of me kind of bought into that idea for a while. Like, hey, maybe I am a master of my desires. But after this experience, like, I think it's more likely that just over the years, my way of dealing with my loneliness has just been to completely bury my feelings about it. Like, on the date, like, I was a little nervous, but, like, I wasn't as nervous as I should have been. Like, it was muted, you know? And she even noticed that. She was like, you don't seem nervous. And at first, I kind of disagreed with that because, I mean, I did feel nervous a little bit, but I thought about it afterwards, and I realized, like, yeah, you know, I probably should have been more nervous than I was. Like, you know, it was still there a little bit, but Like, I was probably only feeling about 30% of the nerves that, I should have been feeling driving around with a cute girl in my car. And, like, I don't even know if it's a disconnection from my nerves specifically as much as it's like a disconnection from parts of myself as a person, Like, I still feel the nerves, but I don't fully feel Adam feeling the nerves, if that makes any sense. Like, it's not specific emotions that I bury, but just, like, large parts of who I am. Like, the best way that I can describe how this feels is like if you're ever, like, laying around and then sort of in the back of your mind, you notice like a little tingling sensation on your leg or something, but you don't really think about it. You just sort of like wave it off. But then you look at your leg and you see like there's a cockroach crawling on you or something. And then, suddenly that little tingle is like shock waves of nerves radiating from the spot where the bug is. And, like goosebumps everywhere. Because, the part of yourself that realized the gravity of the situation like came online and your nerves reacted accordingly. It's like for some reason, the part of myself that would be able to realize the gravity of the situation of having a girl in my car, just like it wasn't coming online, And so what I felt was mostly just kind of like dulled. Or, maybe I have undiagnosed autism or something. Maybe I'm just severely depressed and I don't know it. Maybe I'm too idealistic about what constitutes connection between people. Like maybe most connections people form beyond like age 20 or so are like completely shallow because like we forget how to do it past a certain age or something. And so maybe it's not so much a problem with me as it is like a problem with our culture. Like maybe I can connect with people on YouTube better because people tend to be more authentic on here. Like I don't know, I have no idea. Everything I say in this video is just a guess based on how I feel that day. Like, I don't actually know what the problem is. Like, I could feel totally different tomorrow and not agree with what I'm saying anymore. Sometimes I get in, like, emo moods, and I make emo videos. But then I don't feel emo anymore. And I watch it again, and I'm like, God, what a crybaby I am. Like, I have no idea how to pin my beliefs down on, like, what the hell is going on with me. Because it's just different every other day. Like, one day I really am Buddha in disguise. But then the next day I'm like, nope, totally just burying my feelings. But, like, at the very least, I feel like I would have been better off if, instead of finding a way to be content with my own company during my years of isolation, that I'd just been able to be open about the things that were bothering me. Like the things that sort of led to my isolation to begin with. Like I kind of wish someone had been there in the past to like listen to my sob story. But you're always made to feel guilty about that kind of thing. Like that's always framed as like emotional labor. Like, okay, I'll spend 15 minutes with you, but after that, you have to shut up and go back to work. Maybe I'm weird, but I've always kind of loved listening to people's sob stories. Like those Dr. K interviews where people sort of cry about their dad not showing up to their 8th grade graduation or something. There's like really nothing more real to me than connecting with someone's story emotionally and like even crying along with them. Like it's really not laborious at all to me. Like it's really one of the few things that even makes me feel anything anymore. It's why I love YouTube so much, Like, I mean, aside from Dr. K videos, there's just so many people who are just vulnerable and honest on here. And I think it's probably one of the only things about this site that even interests me. Like, I could go all day, every day, listening to people's sob stories, to be honest. And I kind of think this is how we are naturally, Like, I kind of think anything else is just like the result of some kind of horrible culturally enforced mutilation of our spirit when we're young. I think deep down, most of us just want to like, see past whatever toxic bullshit story people are telling themselves and, see the heartbroken child underneath everything and, just like give them a hug and, go see whatever Spider-Man movie is out. And not even doing it with the expectation that they even like get better at all. Or like, giving them some dismissive lecture about how life isn't fair or that they aren't trying hard enough. But simply just because it feels good to love another person. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overly romantic. Oh, and I want to say that I don't view this date as like self-improvement or like a life achievement because I kind of think that's unfair to the person that I went out on the date with. Like that kind of makes her out to be like some object that I'm just using to achieve a goal or something. And that just kind of feels kind of off, Like we were just two people hanging out in the car. That's all it was. There was a moment at the end of the date when I was about to drop her off where I could feel like there was some kind of thing in the air, like there was a silence, but it was a silence that was kind of like hinting at something. And I picked up on it. But again, like it felt like the part of myself that should have responded to a situation like that just like wasn't working. Like that part in Dragon Ball Z where Android 16 can't self-destruct because Bulma took the bomb out of them when they were fixing him. That's kind of what it felt like. But it wasn't so much that it felt like it was missing altogether. Like intuitively, like I know it's still in there somewhere, but just in that moment, like it wasn't firing yet. Part of me kind of thinks that it might be the 13-year-old ghost in me still thinking like, hey, I'm not allowed to be out here doing this. Somebody's going to make an example out of me for being out here hanging out with a girl. Like, what do you think? You're Mr. Cool Guy now? Give me a break, kid. So I just sort of like shut down so I can just like go back home and continue being 13 forever. Like when I brought her in my garage, like there was a part of me that was like bracing, like hoping that my dad wouldn't come downstairs and like see me hanging out with a girl. Cause it would have been humiliating to have to like explain to him what I was doing. But like, I don't know. I think I kind of realized in that moment that like something isn't right. Like that's not a normal reaction. I'm not supposed to not feel anything in a situation like that. Maybe it's just a matter of like going out repeatedly to sort of like coax these parts of myself back out. Like I really don't know. I know that it wasn't always this way. Like I used to feel things in social settings and not just in isolation watching YouTube videos. Like I used to have friends when I was a kid. But then just something happened when I was 13 that just like fundamentally shifted me. And like I've just been like totally content to hang out at home all the time. Actually, the girl that I met was probably the first new person that I've met in like close to a decade. What's the takeaway from this video? I don't know. Like if you see some kid sitting alone at lunch every day and it's within your power, go make his dreams come true. Like, is it really fair to expect that kid who is probably being bullied, who might be being abused at home in all sorts of ways, to walk up to a group of kids that he doesn't even know, who he probably thinks hates him anyway, and be like, hey guys, can I join your group? Like, how would that group even respond to that, Like some weirdo kid like randomly coming up to him trying to butt himself in. Like this just doesn't seem like how people interact with each other, I mean, at least to me it doesn't. Like I could be wrong. I probably am wrong, just, given the situation that I'm in. But it seems to me that like even the most charismatic person would have trouble with that situation. Like it just doesn't seem like a realistic solution for that kid. Like that kid had zero leverage in a situation like that. But like I can't tell you how like amazing it would have been if like some group of kids like randomly surrounded me where I was sitting at lunch and said like, hey, we see you sitting alone here every day. We know you're a loner. We know you're depressed. But we want you to have a fun time for once in your life. We're forcing you to come to a party with us. And, maybe I'm super nervous about it, but like I do it anyway. And just for like the first time in my life, I'm being an adolescent instead of like, sitting at home drinking Mountain Dew, playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater. And, we all get along. And, they keep forcing me to come out. And eventually it's not like a pity situation anymore, and we just eventually become like genuinely good friends. And even if I don't get along with them, maybe through them, like I find people that I do get along with. Like you could totally change somebody's life trajectory really easily like that. Like it doesn't even have to be a party, Like I think that's just my particular fantasy. Like, maybe ambush them and take them to the aquarium or something. Like maybe your group of friends can be like the Make a Loner's Dream Come True Foundation. Like, you ambush the loner kids at school and be like Willy Wonka and like, show them the social life that they're missing out on. And you keep them as friends too. Like, you don't like discard them after they've finished their tour of the social life factory. God, do you know how exciting that would be for the loner kids at school? Like they'd be at lunch every day like, oh man, what if they pick me today? At the very least, you'd put their school shooting plans on hold and you really make sure to like involve all of them so that everybody has a chance. You could totally make an amazing YouTube channel about that. Willy Wonka for social cripples. As for me, I don't know. Like if I'm being honest, I kind of feel like it might be too late for me. Like, I kind of think I might be too far gone at this point. I mean, I'm not resigned to that, but, like, I don't even know where I would begin to, like, fix whatever is broken inside of me, or even if I should. But, I always say on this channel, like, you're either going to watch me rise from the ashes like a phoenix, or just, like, completely lose my mind. And I think at the very least, me going on this date was a step toward rising like a phoenix. So, we'll see. But, yeah, that's the video. Thanks for watching.